Hi. Hello. Let's get right to it. I'm up here to defend my buddy over here, Andrew, his arguments. I want to express why I disagree with Trevor over here. So, starting off, Trevor began by listing the WPA, the War Powers Act. My bad. I want to say War Resolutions, the War Powers Act. He said that it's unconstitutional. The problem is, it is constitutional. The Constitution explicitly gives Congress the ability to declare war. The War Powers Act is more of a physical representation of that part of the Constitution, much like how the Electoral College is a physical representation of the Constitution deciding an election. It's not like a thing we made up all of a sudden. The Constitution made it, and then we made something a little more clear so that people could follow it. So, Constitution grants the right to declare war. Anyone wishing to argue that the War Powers Resolution of 1973 is unconstitutional must be prepared to explain the purpose of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the Constitution. The provision expressly grants to Congress the power to declare war. If the President of the United States is free to fight a war, whether or not one has been declared, then this apparently unambiguous constitutional provision is devoid of significance. So, by violating the WPA, the President could in fact be violating the Constitution. In fact, the President is one man. That's why we have the Congress decide war. Congress is plenty of people, and this is a big decision when we want to go to war, especially now in this time and age when we could possibly destroy, the planet with our nuclear weapons and our drones. Moving on, though. Trevor mentioned a statistic about people dying. He quoted the Bureau of Investigation. What I think he's pulling up, because I have the exact number here, he said, I think 800 or so, 850. 801? All right. According to Reprieve, who did a study of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's data, they found that in this one circumstance, in Pakistan, 24 men were reported as killed or targeted multiple times, but the missed strikes from trying to kill these 24 men killed 874 people, including 142 children, all of which were completely innocent. They were innocent people. And to move on to that, it continues on. Each assassination target, the 24, on average, was found dead 3 times before they were officially found dead, on average. So maybe one was found quickly, the other one was found not so quickly. Again, he also likes to list the statistics of other people dying in our country, like people dying in car accidents and malpractice and whatnot. The problem is, I don't think you can compare those. I mean, people are dying, but it's significant. Human life is always significant to die. I mean, if he's going to go ahead and say that people we kill with drone strikes don't matter because a couple 100,000 people are dying in car accidents, well, then it's like, you could argue that, was 9/11 significant? Only 3,000 people died in 9/11, and you could say it didn't matter because way more people died in car accidents on that day alone. So, the argument is just it's a false analogy. It's a false comparison, and it's a fair comparison, but it's not true because it's a bit more dynamic than the analogy allows. It's a bit more dynamic than what he can express by just saying, well, 100,000 people are dying over here, so it doesn't matter that we killed a couple thousand innocent people over in the Middle East. Continuing on, he mentioned Richard Nixon's quote where he shot down a law that would have basically done the same thing as the WPA. He used a very false appeal to tradition there. Nixon did, and he quoted Nixon, so I guess you could say that Trevor used one. Nixon said that, well, the president's always had this type of power. The problem is that was established back when we were using muskets and we were all just walking around and shooting at each other one at a time. Now we have very powerful technology. We have bombs that can take out entire cities in an instant, and we have weapons that we can kill people across the world, and we can do it from the very comfortable chairs that we're sitting in. And we'll never see them. And that's the problem with the arguments that we shouldn't change it, because war is changing. The way we fight war is changing, and the technology we use changes, and it's so dramatic that something has to be done. We can't just keep following these old traditions that say, well, well, we gotta follow these rules and the president has this power because something could happen. Well, now it's a matter of we could kill a lot of people really quickly and it might not be right. But finally, I want to address his final argument. Planes, currently in development. Andrew mentioned that there's currently no planes in development. Trevor came up with a good example of a plane that's currently in development. However, that's one plane. So it undermines the argument, but it's not really substantial. It doesn't really devalue the argument. It just kind of mentions one circumstance where the plane is being built. He also mentioned that it's struggling to get financial support from the government because they're more focused on drones. They're very focused on drones, actually. It's more effective. So, in fact, anyways, it's one circumstance, and drones are still getting a lot of funding. In fact, New York Times found that there's such a demand for drone pilots that the Air Force has started taking experienced pilots for bombers and gunners and just putting them instantly into the action of drone pilot, which is like stupid to say because they just go into their chair and they start manning the drones, but they are being grounded so they can fly the drones. But that is my follow-up for Andrew. Thank you very much.